discipline. Okay, with that, we're going to change it up just a little bit and go to item 63. We've got other presentations here, so if you'll go ahead and call that, and I'm going to have our Poet Laureate come down and to the podium.
Item 63 is a presentation of resolution recognizing Alexandra Huynhas as the 2021 National Youth Poet Laureate.
Hi, Alexandra. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, we're very, I think, not just pleased, but excited and privileged this morning to have our National Poet Laureate here with us, who's a Sacramento resident, and she's here with her family, and I'll let her introduce her mother and father here in a moment, and she also has the director of the Sacramento Youth Speaks. But this is a very prestigious honor. She's only the fifth, I think, ever in our country to have earned this title, and she's a very talented, very passionate communicator, a poet, and writer. And I think she's going to take the opportunity this morning to share a little bit with us. But we're just very pleased, and I know that you have a very busy schedule because even though your home is here in Sacramento, I know you're traveling throughout the country and representing certainly young adults, but people from all ages in this community and throughout. And I think your message is obviously a very strong one. And you're a graduate of Mariloma High School, Matadors, is that right? Yes. And she can tell us a little bit about what it means to be the Poet Laureate. But we're very, very pleased, and I know earlier this year we noted it, and we made arrangements, did some outreach, and she was able to be here again with her family and with her support group this morning to share with us. But I would just note that that she has been very outspoken about sort of the appreciation she has for the work and the representation that she brings to young adults. And I'm just going to quote one of the, I think, quotes that is attributable to her, but really speaks to, I think, her advocacy and her passion, that she's very pleased that Sacramento is a home to such a diverse community of people of all races and ethnicities and backgrounds, which allowed her, she said me, but her to move through the world with a greater appreciation for people and their stories. And even at her young age, she's become quite the storyteller as well, and communicating, I think, a message certainly of diversity, but of inclusion, and the importance of not only young people, but certainly building a strong foundation within the family network, within the community network, to share the human experience. And so we're very, very pleased to congratulate and to honor and to recognize you and to have you here with us this morning, Alexandra, to receive recognition by the board. And so this is for you to add, I'm sure, to your growing list of awards that you get as you travel the country. But we're proud to call you a native daughter here in Sacramento, and very pleased you're with us. And congratulations. And I'm going to allow you to say some words and maybe share some poetry with us and introduce your family if you'd like. So, okay.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'd really like to extend a huge thank you to the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors for granting me with this honor. I have lived in Sacramento my entire life, and I never would have thought that I would have this sort of platform to share my story, and that I'd be able to stand here today in the board chambers and introduce my family, and just thank all of the community members that have poured into me, that have contributed to my success. So firstly, I'd like to thank my parents who are here, Thao Nguyen and Yum Huyn. Without their sacrifices and coming to this country, immigrating from Vietnam, I would not be where I am today. I think one of the beautiful things about Sacramento is that it is home to a diverse population of immigrants and refugees, and each of those individuals brings stories and resilience that contribute to Sacramento's beauty. And my parents and the Vietnamese community have taught me that the greatest thing that you can do is to be in service to those you love and to have that reciprocal relationship, because the most important things that we can build are things that we build for each other and that we can take part of together. And secondly, I'd like to thank Patrice. Patrice Hill is the director of Sacramento Area Youth Speaks. Without organizations like these in Sacramento, I would have never had an opportunity to find my voice. When we give youth the opportunity to identify things that matter to them and to formulate language around communicating the importance of such things, we build advocates that will be able to create change far beyond the limits of Sacramento. So sitting here in this room today, I've noticed a little bit of tension, which I think is completely natural, right? Everyone here in this room has certain interests that they really care about, and that's an important thing. And when we're in conversation with each other, tension will naturally build. But I would like to encourage you all to continue turning to curiosity instead of anger when those sorts of feelings arise, because when we ask questions, that's how we continue the conversation and continue to make positive change. So poetry for me is a way to continue asking questions and share the stories of the people that I love most. With that, I would like to share a poem today that is honoring my Vietnamese heritage, particularly the sacrifices of Vietnamese nail workers. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the nail shop. The service never fails. Bring your business and we promise to leave you with fine nails. Allow me to take you around. I may not work at the nail shop, but I have witnessed it. Seen how my auntie's fingerprints have worn away in acetone in exchange for your pristine hands that look like they've never done a day's work, but that's how you like it. Leave the dirty work to the cleaning ladies. They already fling around broken china with their tongues. Ought to learn how to pick up after themselves. Con gái này có mũi giống heo. It sounds foreign, so assume the worst and sit satiated knowing their living sits comfortably in your purse. Would you like a demonstration? Here they are. Take your pick of nail color and woman all named Julie, Jennifer, and Jessica just for your convenience. Watch as they handle white hands like they tend to God himself. Construct entire temples out of rhinestone, plastic, stardust, and whatever else is selected from those colossal shelves that span across entire walls of the salon and say, here, for you. Pick color, I make happen. Pick color, I make beautiful. It still amazes me how they manage to maintain such brilliant enthusiasm even in fractional English, even as the greeting bell's incessant whine and the heat of bodies fills the room and the soaked cotton balls and waste bins taint everything with lacquered fumes, and the patrons get more vicious as day bleeds into afternoon and the head begins to hammer and hurt amidst the hurricane of noise with their inflatable feet and soggy hands as warning signs of natural disaster. But the only statement they manage to issue is, cash please, thank you, come again. I once asked my mother why so many Vietnamese women became nail technicians, and she told me, it's because we are a hardworking people, a people who know how to make things beautiful. And I wanted to tell her, yes, but we are sometimes a soft-spoken people, a shipwrecked people who learn to take shelter and weather the storm even after the sun had come out. I can never forget that instinct, plastered firmly onto my soul and sealed in by the kind of glue that holds entire generations together. My hands, too, will become calloused, veins branching along my skin like the waterways of my motherland. I, too, will learn to build temples, but only to my own God. Thank you.
To invite your parents and Patrice come up. We can take a picture with the board if you would like to. We can maybe have come down into the well here and kind of join us.
Say cheese.
Oh, look, it worked.